Hello, good people. So this is chapter 9, the JASP help for SPSS. So hopefully by now you know how to open up data again. So this is chapter 9 data. So we're going to do some t-tests. And so chapter 9, as labeled in your IBM SPSS book, says we need to do some paired t-tests. So again, we go up at the t-test, top left. We look for the paired t-test. We click on that. And so what's going on here? We've got child, pre, and post. So sort of similar to, as outlined in the IBM book, we want to click pre and post over here. So what's great about paired t-test is that it already knows you're dealing with a pairing. So you got to figure out what are you pairing? You're pairing those pre and post test scores to each other. So you click pre over there, and then you click post over there, and now you get this sort of basic t-test. So you get the t variable and you get the p variable. So again, that's not enough of what is you need to fully interpret what's going on here. So again, you should always just automatically click on descriptives to see if the descriptives are consistent. So now you've got the average pre-test score of 30 and a post-test score of 34. So standard deviation, standard errors, so on and so forth. So okay, that's cool. That's still not enough. What we've come to learn is that this location parameter is something that's really kind of cool, and we always kind of want the confidence interval as well. So we've got the location parameter. So what does that tell us? That gives us the actual quantifiable difference between these two averages, this 30.4 minus 34.2, and that's where we get that negative 3.75. So you say, ooh, it's negative, which I need to be concerned. You don't necessarily need to be concerned. It's just because 30 subtract 34 from it gives you a negative number. It's just a which number came first kind of vibe. So you've got a negative number here, but it doesn't matter. It's really you're interpreting the size of the difference between these two groups. So you got the standard error of the difference, and then you got the confidence interval for how confident are you in that real difference between the pre and the post-test scores. So I'm 95% confident that the real difference between these two groups lies between -5 and a -1.9. So that's what this confidence interval means. And again, you should always be clicking on effect sizes because effect sizes are awesome. And so now you can another level of interpretation for the effect sizes. So that's basically all you really need to have to interpret this paired t-test. But then you notice in the IBM SPSS book is that you're like, well, I've got this correlation coefficient here too. So hopefully if you've already been playing around with JASP, I mean, again, go ahead and play around with it. If you want to learn how to do statistics, JASP is really an easy way to learn how to do this kind of stuff. From the previous chapters, chapter 14 in your IBM SPSS book, you can come over here to correlations, and you can get a correlation if you really want to for any sort of data. So, I mean, if you really wanted to do this, you can go get a correlation of these two variables if you wanted to. And you got the Pearson's R, and this is how if you wanted to add this correlation coefficient there. And so that would be consistent. We got that 0.77. That's consistent with what the SPSS output is. So the SPSS just automatically gives you the correlation. In JSP, you can go and get it if you needed it. Don't really need it necessarily for a paired t-test. It is kind of interesting to find out how correlated they are, because that kind of helps this idea that are they really different scores or they're just highly correlated or whatever. But this is the output. Again, you can go back and forth. This is the t-test, or here's a correlation. So you can go back and forth. But this is all you really need to interpret. And again, what are we interpreting again? I think we're talking about, I mean, these are pre and post test people. And so what do we got? We got child scores on something. Seminar social competency scores. So these are social competency scores, and apparently what their parents attended a seminar for 1 month. So we took these children, we took their average social competency score before their parents went through this seminar, and then we did it again after. And I'm assuming that this seminar was trying to help students or children with their social competency. So did it go up? Did it go down? Well, if you're looking right here, the pre is 30, the post is 34, so it went up. Assuming that's probably good, but then you got to just follow the null hypothesis testing format. How do you know if this is a real difference? How do you know if this is a statistical significant difference between pre and post test scores? Look at the p-value. Is it less than whatever that critical p-value is? If you say that they're significantly different, that means that they are different. If that means you're rejecting the null. If you retain the null, that means you're telling me that these two numbers are the same, the pre and the post are the same, that kind of stuff. So go ahead and interpret relative to all that. And again, keep in mind what we're talking about here. We're talking about parents and a seminar series and student and kids, social competency scores. Go ahead and use that kind of language in your interpretation. All right, hope this helps. Good luck.